Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. There is some big news in the ARPG world, and today I want to mostly cover that. It is going to be a talking video, but I'm sure it's going to be a topic that at least a lot of you guys are interested in hearing about. So, a little bit of backstory. I play Diablo 4 and I play Path of Exile 2. I find Diablo 4 very fun when it's a new season. I typically play a few days, sometimes a week, sometimes a little bit more. I don't play super competitively. I play self-imposed, solo self-found, and I just think it's fun to try something new and keep up with the seasonal updates. I also play Path of Exile. I play Path of Exile 2 at heart a lot more competitively. I just really strive to do absolutely all the content as well as I can. I try to play, very powerful builds. I also play solo self-found there, and I have had a lot of fun playing both games since they have been playable. I do end up playing Path of Exile 2, usually quite a bit longer than I do Diablo 4, just because it takes quite a bit longer to kind of figure out what the the secret sauce of a new season. And it takes a bit longer to actually go through all the content because, let's be honest, there is more of it. Now, with that in mind, I still generally stream Bazaar. I love playing ARPGs, but I can't always play them because I literally can't always play them. I do have some nerve damage in my hand for a number of reasons. I've had a surgery where they move the nerve to ease the pressure. It has been better, but it's something I have to constantly manage. And it is not good management to play click-heavy games like ARPGs all the time. So I have a pretty limited amount of time that I can actually play ARPGs, so I do what I can with it. I also try to do build guides for you guys. I have my Diablo builds. I try to do at least a couple for both Diablo 4 New Seasons and Path of Exile 2 New Seasons. I'm doing that on Mobalytics, as well as Bazaar builds as well. They have a Bazaar section that I'm working with them on for also. So, how do we get to today? Today, it's basically game on. It is like the battle of Diablo versus the battle of Path of Exile, and I didn't realize until today just how savage it was going to be. I had initially planned on playing the Diablo 4 New Season, which was supposed to release this Tuesday, only for a few days, because the new Path of Exile season started on Friday, which is today if you're watching this video when it comes out. However, they ended up last minute delaying the Diablo season, and that season moved from Tuesday to Thursday night. So if you are like me and intended on playing both games when their new season started, you literally have less than a day to play Diablo 4 before Path of Exile 2 releases. And Path of Exile 2 release date was known before, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but that was a pretty punishing one for me. Just to be clear, I'm probably just going to put my efforts in Path of Exile 2 because it's a game I play more competitively and a bit longer. I don't mind playing Diablo like a month into a season. I still play solo self-found. The experience is pretty much the same, so I'm good with that. And honestly, that's probably what I'll end up doing. However, things got a little bit spicier today. They had the Game Awards, and they really try to get a lot of attention. A lot of games had different Twitch drops. In fact, even Path of Exile 2 had a Twitch drop. Path of Exile 2 launched Druid and two classes from Druid, the Oracle and the Shaman. And these are kind of like shape-shifting mechanics that combine spells with attacks with minions. It's a combination of defenses. It's some really wild stuff. It's some of the craziest mechanics cooked up into two subclasses, let's say, that I have seen from Path of Exile, and that says a lot because those are master chefs over there when it comes to mechanics and just awesome game design. So they have a pretty big lead up into that, and one of the skins is like a free cosmetic for the shapeshift forms was if you watch the Game Awards. So a lot of people were watching the Game Awards that are planning to play Path of Exile 2. Among, again, lots of other games. So, again, they covered lots of games, all that kind of stuff, but there was a huge announcement, one from Path of Exile, I'll get into that in a bit, but one took people a little bit by surprise. It was a Diablo 4 announcement. They announced their next expansion will be dropping at the end of April 2026. It's you just basically go beat up Mephisto. Hopefully he drops some good loot. But people suspect there's more than one new class, but there is at least one new class. That class is Paladin. But the really spicy stuff is this Game Award happened like literally a couple hours before the new season dropped for Diablo. And if you pre-order the expansion, which is $40, you will get to play the new class right away, the Paladin, this season on season launch, which I think is awesome. It's like, people going into a game that, in my opinion, is not like crazy competitive, but some people see it differently, of course. Totally blind. No one knows anything about this class. I've seen a few streams, and honestly, the Paladin doesn't even look that strong early on. But that's a good sign, because it's going to take people a while to figure out how to actually build Paladin and play Paladin. If Paladin seemed really strong on day 0, it would surely be the most broken stuff ever, right? So the fact that it seems like it's maybe not is quite refreshing, because typically the new stuff has been the most powerful in the Diablo sphere. So all that aside, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, because this is like cool, but at the same time, Blizzard's mega cashing in on FOMO here, okay? They have historically dropped the most overpowered classes ever across, honestly, all of their games, the new ones, and by a huge margin. And look no further than Spiritborn. Spiritborn was doing like tens of thousands of times more damage than any other class on its release, for example. And granted, a lot of that was bugged, but that's just kind of how it works. The new stuff is often bugged, and Blizzard has a bit of a reluctance to nerf the stuff that everybody is playing. People know this, so they are really pushing the FOMO. If you take Diablo seriously and you want to have a really powerful character be in the top of the rankings for Pit and just be really, really strong, you are probably going to want to be playing Paladin. Just, history lines that up. And having this announced literally hours before a new season, where these things actually matter a lot for most people, again, it's cool. Not everyone is going to be so happy that they did that. They really are kind of putting the squeeze on the people that play Diablo 4 seriously. It's a real squeeze. And again, I mostly play Diablo 4 for my own reasons. I have fun that way. But the few people that do play very competitively, this is kind of the second blow to the Diablo thing. So a lot of you guys don't know, but I actually don't have like first-hand knowledge, but I've seen several, popular Diablo 4 content creators talk about it, like Rob made a video. So Diablo 4 is actually launching in like China, maybe a few other Asian countries for like the first time around this season launch also. And they have like a different like payment structure. So there you can actually pay to have an experience boost. And these experience boosts are not small. They're like 20% more experience just on top of everything else. Given that it takes weeks, some people take months to max out their Paragon, and the Paragon is literal character power. This is very much pay to win if you plan on playing, competitively, let's say, in the first like several weeks to maybe month plus, because that's pretty much the time horizon for maxing your Paragon. So again, kind of a rough one for the competitive Diablo 4 players, but for me, I don't really care. But the reason it got so interesting is it wasn't just Diablo 4 that had a surprise literal hours before the new season character class. Grinding Gear did the same thing. That's right. New Ascendancy class for the sorceress, and it is Disciple of Varashta. And I'll explain kind of how this works. I do have a bit of insight on this because I generally play minions, and minions have some mechanics with the Disciple of Varashta. It is a very interesting class. It's maybe one of the most mechanic-heavy classes, and I would say it probably would be the most mechanic-heavy class, if not for them just releasing the druid. But before I want to get into details, I just kind of want to paint a picture for you guys, which is pretty much the point of this video. For whatever reason that I don't really know about or understand, we are at a point where Diablo 4 and Path of Exile 2 are like insanely competitive with each other. Okay, it seems like they're trying to stack up launch dates for their seasons. It seems like they're trying to kind of push the same announcement narratives and the same announcement timings at each other. This cannot be coincidence, okay? These two IPs are at war right now. And as someone who enjoys thoroughly both of these games, this is awesome, right? Now, if you are a diehard in one of these games, or you maybe work for one of these companies, you may not share my sentiment, understandably. But in my opinion, you get the best stuff when there is heavy competition, and this is about as competitive as I've seen it in a long time. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, for the Path of Exile end of things. So this is a disciple of Varashta. It is a sorceress. Very important. I'll get into that in a moment, why that's so important. In one of the slides, we saw, so these are like djinns. They're kind of like minions. They don't like hang around you. You basically have to do something for them to come out and do something. Okay. In one of the slides, they had these 3 points in their like ascendancies. So I've seen some people say that you maybe actually start with 3 of them. Some ascendancy classes actually have like free ascendancies. Maybe that's the case. I don't really know. It's weird for that to be the case because there's just kind of a little bit too many points if that's the case, but who knows. You basically have these passive minions. You have a fire one that triggers when you like hit something with a spell or attack, I think. You have like a cold one that basically has payoff effects for chilled. So chilled is like dealing cold damage significant amount, or chilled ground. It has other effects. And the other one is actually kind of like a regular minion. It just like slaps stuff, but you have to command it for it to slap stuff. You cannot just waddle around and hope that it kills everything for you. This is a really high input minion class, and I use the word minion very loosely here. It's really not a minion class. It's more like you're just kind of playing a spellcaster with direct damage, or a spellcaster with crowd control, or you're just pressing a button for phantoms to come out and attack your stuff. It is minions, and I'll share my expertise as to why that actually matters, but this is very lightly a minion class, despite it having primarily minion-related tags on everything, just because it won't play like one. A lot of you guys are minion enjoyers if you're watching my content, and of course I am as well. Given my limitations, I've kind of grown into it, let's say. This doesn't play like a necromancer with an army of minions. It doesn't do that. It'll play kind of like if you played Dominating Blow in Path of Exile 1. Something like that at best, where you are having heavy inputs and minions are just kind of helping you do it. People that don't like playing minion builds in general will find this to be amazing, I think. And people that expect the traditional minion gameplay will probably not enjoy it at all. There's a few other passives that have nothing to do with minions, like one there, one there, one there. These are honestly very strong. They're very good. So the Disciple of Varashta can be very good, but I want to also be very clear about something. When it comes to minions, so even if you had all the information, which we don't, we have nothing close to all the information. We don't know all the details of these things, how they scale, exactly what supports work, how they work. We don't know literally 250 new passives that they just put in on the passive tree. It's hours, like when I'm recording, so it's hours until the league comes out. We don't know what that is, okay? And it's not like a surprise paladin thing. It kind of sucks, I would say, because people that are not playing classes on that side of the passive tree, they basically have a 100% game plan, and those that want to play the new stuff get wrecked. And Path of Exile 2, pretty competitive game, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, a lot of the passives in that area are currently a mystery. And more importantly, these are minions. Experience has shown me that until you actually play the class and you test an exact minion, you do not really know how well it's going to perform. And the reason is that, well, the numbers could be there, and then the minion is just stupid. It gets stuck on corners. It doesn't respond to actually being called out. Like this minion one, it says when you call him out, he does his thing. Well, how long does it take to cast that, right? Does it have like an internal cooldown? Does he actually have to perform the animation before he can call it again, right? Just so many questions and details with minions, and you never really know the full-on details for that. But yeah, if you're looking at like any one of these like slides to see the gameplay, this is the gameplay. You have like a few beetles. I'm not even sure these get attacked. So all the monsters are going to be swarming you. It is not going to play like a minion class. And I also want to point out something very important to those of you that are considering playing the class. So it has to do with the passive tree. So if you start the game and you play Witch, okay, Witch specifically, you can kickstart your minion build with minion damage and minion damage and minion damage. And look at that, minion damage, more minion damage, minion health, right? Fantastic. Now, if you play any other class that is not a witch, say, for example, I don't know, the new Jinn-based minions, the sorceress, remember, the disciple's a sorceress, it's not a witch. Well, instead of all those juicy minion passives, what you get is nothing. Nothing to do with minions. Absolutely nothing. Not even this one. So you won't actually get like minion-based things until quite a lot later. So if you're hoping for like an early to mid-game minion-style build, you will not get it. It is not going to work that way. Now, I'm not saying the class is weak because we know so little information. It could be the worst class in the game. It could be by far the strongest class in the game with absolutely every possibility in between. But yeah, I just want to really emphasize the fact that this ascendancy is not going to play like a traditional minion build. For now, I'm going to get a little bit of rest. I have a lot of stuff to deal with. I got like broken windows and stuff, haven't been away, and I've only been home one day. There's a lot of stuff to deal with, but I'm going to try to get as much game time as I can. We're going to start with Path of Exile 2. Once I have some grasp into what's working, I'll give you guys some Path of Exile 2 build guides. And those of you that want to check out my Diablo build guides, those are already up. And at some point, I'll give a Paladin a try too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.